Welcome in for our last edition for this season of Saratoga Saturdays. I'm Anita Marks. He's Jonathon Kinchen. We've been with you over the last month plus. Dare I shed a tear here, Jonathon? I feel like you and I have this like great Saturday morning relationship, early Saturday morning, getting everybody ready for the races at Saratoga. And then all of a sudden it flies by and it's gone. And then I don't see you for another year.
Yeah, I mean, it's the slowest 46 months, and then it's like the fastest 8 weeks. It's wild how it happens. It feels like what happened week one felt like it was yesterday, but at the same time, it feels like it was last year. It's a very bizarre 8 weeks. You want it to, and I think part of the reason is because we get so excited about big races that you're always excited about the next race. So you're kind of like rushing to the next race and almost not enjoying the day. It's a very bizarre place, time machine, as it were.
Again, is the last weekend at the spa. How would you rate this season, Jonathon? Based, and let's bring it all together, right? Like the races, what happened at the Travers. Obviously, that was the highlight of this racing season. Of course, last weekend we had a show here for you. How, of course, Saratoga, the crowd, this is post-COVID. Of course, as we know, Saratoga took somewhat of a dip, of course, during COVID. How has this season been for you up there?
Well, it's been outstanding from a lot of different perspectives, right? I mean, I think when you're here in Saratoga, you want to see the stars run, and you kind of want the stars to deliver. It's what everyone gets excited about. It's why these 2-year-old races are so much fun, because you hope to find the next star. And we saw some stars. We saw Jackie's Warrior show up and run well. We saw Life is Good show up, run well. Epicenter show up, run well. Jack Christopher show up, run well. Warlike Goddess, who we'll see today, show up, run well. It's those things are fun, but a little bit more nerdy. We're going to break an attendance record, an all-time record for a place that's been over since the mid 1800s. We're going to break an attendance record. Last Saturday for the Travers, we broke a single day handle record, more handle on last Saturday's card than any other card ever. We're going to break the meet long handle record. So everything's going in the right direction for Saratoga, and things are going extremely well. So from a gambling standpoint, from a business standpoint, and from a fan standpoint, the meet couldn't have been any better.
And you talk about the 2-year-old horses that, of course, we're just getting our first taste. Obviously, year 3 is the year for them. So excited about next season based on what you've seen from the 2-year-olds this season?
Yeah, we've seen some really, really talented horses, and we'll see more this weekend. The two kind of flagship grade 1 2-year-old races for fillies and for colts are over the next 2 days, the Spinaway and the Hopeful. Unfortunately, in the Spinaway, we lost probably the most impressive 2-year-old performance we saw with a filly by the name of Prank. She was injured. She'll be back in her 3-year-old year, so we won't see her run on Sunday. But, the 2-year-old races have been outstanding. Some really cool horses. Echo Again was a colt that was very impressive. He won't run in the Hopeful on Monday, but he'll run down the line, whether it be at Keeneland or at Belmont.
All right, so we've got 3 races we're going to preview for you today. Again, another reminder, NYRABets.com, log on, use the code TOGA200 for a $200 sign-up bonus, and use that on all of JK's picks for today. All right, so we're going to start first and foremost, race number 4, the Saranac, and it's a grade 3, 5 horses, 3-year-olds, run in the inner turf, 1 and 1/16. Post time is 1:43 p.m. So get ready. And the horse you're eyeing is the 3-horse Annapolis. From what I understand, in good form, Irad is going to be riding Annapolis. Tell us all the reasons why you like the 3-horse in this race.
Yeah, and look, I mean, this horse is 2 to 5 on the morning line, so I'm not, I didn't do much work to have to point out that he's got a good shot of winning. But I do think that if you're playing the early pick 5, you're playing any multi-race bets, I don't think you need anyone else. I think you can single here and move on and treat it kind of like a free square. He's just the most talented horse. He's tactical enough to find his position moving forward. It's not like some horse is going to get loose and wire him. He'll stay close enough. He'll stay connected. He's just faster than these horses, and there's really nothing else to add. He's the best horse in the race. I think if you want to be contrarian, you want to try to find a horse that you want to try to take on Annapolis with. Maybe you don't believe in Annapolis, or you're allergic to betting a horse in any situation that's 2 to 5. I think the rail horse Celestial City makes a little bit of sense. But she was outworked by a 2-year-old that ran second earlier this week in a stake. So, there's an argument. She's got races that are almost fast enough to beat Annapolis. He is almost fast enough to beat a horse like Annapolis if Annapolis takes a step back. But I'm not a believer in any situation where Annapolis gets beat. I just think that he's much the best in this group.
Got it. And again, just the horse that you absolutely must use in a pick 4, pick 5 for that race number 4. And of course, it's horse number 3, Annapolis. All right, we're going to move to race 10. It's the Flower Bowl, 1 3/8. It's on turf. It's fillies and mares, 4 years old and older. Post time is at 5:09 p.m. Let's talk about the 4-horse. Warlike Goddess has won 8 of the last 10, and really has been fantastic at Saratoga. Really likes this track. So, why do you like Warlike Goddess?
Yeah, I mean, she's another one very similar to Annapolis. Actually, not similar to Annapolis. She's actually much better in terms of her dominance. But when they go these long distances on the grass, they just don't have horses in this country that can beat her. And some might even argue that her race in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf last year, she was beat by a Japanese horse. That it was more of, and I love Julian Leparoux, but it was more of the ride. I think Julian probably moved a taste early and probably gave her a little bit too much to have to do by moving so early. So she's just dominant at these races. When you watch her races, it's like Joelle barely even asks her. She just kind of does it on her own. Look at the Glens Falls on YouTube after you watch the show. If you don't know what I'm talking, I mean, it's just absolutely impressive. It's one of those races when it's over, you say she's just such a freak. And she doesn't win by a whole lot, but the way she wins, super, super impressive. Grass races are all about pace. And a lot of it is about trip. And she can have a horrible pace situation, a horrible trip, and she still wins. And I think that says a lot about how talented she is. I guess her biggest enemy is because she's so good, she wants to run earlier in her races than I think sometimes Joelle wants her to go. So she can sometimes get a little bit aggressive. That would be her biggest enemy. If for whatever reason she just wasted too much energy, but she's done this in her entire career and nothing's really changed. She shows up and she runs well. The only other horse that I'll mention that I think is maybe at least a little bit interesting is a 7 Marvelous Maud, who has never tried to go this far before. All of these other horses in this race have tried these marathon turf distances. We know who they are. We know what they are, and they aren't better than Warlike Goddess. Marvelous Maud, on the other hand, has never gone this far. So just what if this is what Marvelous Maud has always wanted to do? What if she's always wanted to go 1.5 miles on the turf, or 1 3/8, 1.5 miles, 1.25 miles on the turf? What if that's what she's always wanted to do? And if she does that today and she likes it and she appreciates it, she works out a better trip, Warlike Goddess gets a little rank early, maybe gets stopped in the lane, then maybe Marvelous Maud could beat her. So I would think that's the only alternative to Warlike Goddess.
And now we go to the 11th race, the Jockey Club Gold Cup, 1 1/4. Post time is at 5:45 p.m. And there's a number of horses we want to discuss. Let's start with horse number 2, Olympiad. Last race was somewhat of a disappointment, right, JK?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think if you own Olympiad, you train Olympiad, you might be a little bit disappointed as a horse player, as a fan. I wasn't overly disappointed. I thought Life is Good was probably too good for Olympiad. Life is Good got a trip. Olympiad had to chase him around there. It was kind of a weird racetrack that got some moisture. So I don't fault Olympiad for his last performance. My biggest thing is that at a short price, he's a little bit too short for me to trust going 1.25 miles for the first time. Maybe he likes it. Maybe he loves it. Maybe he runs well. He is the fastest horse in the race. I just wonder if the distance might be a little bit more of an equalizer to bring some of the other ones closer to where he is. If this race was at 1 1/8 or a 1-turn mile or a flat mile, I would love Olympiad. I would most likely single Olympiad and move on. But I do think that because it's 1.25 miles, it does bring horses like American Revolution into the equation. American Revolution has never gone 1.25 miles either. However, he'll be a little bit of a better price. And so there's some upside there. You're not taking a short price horse doing something for the first time. You're taking the second choice, maybe third choice, trying something for the first time. But even more than Olympiad and American Revolution, I feel like the 7 Keep Me in Mind and the 8 Dynamic One are the ones that are a little bit more attractive. Keep Me in Mind has gone the distance before. Keep Me in Mind was a buzz horse in the Kentucky Derby back in 2000. in 21. These years run together since COVID. I can never remember what year things happened. But Keep Me in Mind was previously trained by Robertino Diodoro, then switched to Todd Pletcher. Last time he was with Todd for the first time, and he ran extremely well, got a fast speed figure, and he's got some faster speed figures in his past. I think as the Hall of Famer Todd Pletcher figures him out, he could continue to improve, continue to get faster. And he's got a style in which I think he'll run well going this 1.25 miles. And then Dynamic One, another Todd Pletcher trainee who Todd has this knack of getting 3-year-olds into the starting gate of the Kentucky Derby. And then for a long time, he was never winning the Derby, but he's gone on to win the Derby twice now. But what he does do, and no one will ever argue, is that he gets these 3-year-olds to continue to improve when they're 4 and 5. And I feel like Dynamic One could be one of those horses that's been in the program long enough that could keep continuing to take steps forward. And I don't think the distance should be any problem for him as well.
The 6 horse, First Captain. Any love for the 6 horse today?
I do. I like First Captain a lot. For the casual fans out there, First Captain is owned by Bobby Flay, celebrity chef, and in partnership with a couple of other people. But yeah, First Captain, Bobby Flay actually bred First Captain. He owns the mare America, and he bred First Captain. And the other cool thing about First Captain is that he had a sister that sold this summer at the Saratoga sale, the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sale. He had a sister that sold for $2 million as a 1-year-old. She's never stepped on a racetrack in her life. She sold for $2 million. And so First Captain, I'll be rooting like heck for First Captain. I think First Captain is a horse that will appreciate the distance as well. And he would be a type of horse that I think if you're going to try to beat Olympiad, you don't want First Captain to beat you.
So because there's a plethora of horses that you have previewed here, this is the one race I'm gonna have you hold my hand, take me to the window. How am I playing this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we talk about on the show all the time. I'm a multi-race player, so I think if you're a believer in Warlike Goddess, you can look at the multi-race bets, pick 5s, pick 6s, single Warlike Goddess spread in here to try to catch that horse that could beat Olympiad. Now, I won't go too deep into a rabbit hole, but I do preach betting efficiently, trying to make your wager match your opinion. Try not to make those caveman tickets where you're just treating a horse that you love like a horse that you're scared of and you bet them equally. So, but in this situation, I will use Olympiad because he's so talented, and I'm going to use him equally to horses like First Captain, Keep Me in Mind, Dynamic One, American Revolution. And I do feel like there's some efficiency there because he's going to be such a short price. I'm treating him equally to these horses that are a little bit longer. I'm using him almost as a saver. If I'm right everywhere else, Warlike Goddess wins, one of these first-time starters that we might like wins, so on and so forth. I want to make sure that I cash this ticket, and I don't want Olympiad to beat me. But I do think he's the type of horse that you want to use other horses with.
Got it. We've got some questions coming in. This is from Austin Power. What's your best pick today, JK?
I mean, I'm going to play the pick 6. I think Analyze It is pretty interesting in race 9 as a horse that I think people will probably try to spread in race 9. I think Analyze It's probably a little bit better than these horses he's in for 62.5 for the first time. And he's a horse that once upon a time was a legit stakes horse. If I'm not mistaken, he was second in the Breeders' Cup, third in the Breeders' Cup Mile to Expert Eye when they ran at Churchill Downs. So this is a horse that's got a lot of talent. It just seems he hasn't really kind of rose to the next level. But I think he's down here with his friends now running for a tag.
Fantastic. Keep in mind, it's not just Saratoga Saturday. It's week 1 of the college football season. So you gave out some horse racing plays. I'm going to give you 3 quick college plays. Get your pen and paper ready. I know Dan, who's producing the show behind the scenes, I can see you. Get your pen and paper ready. So here's what I got for you. You've got Oregon going up against Georgia. Keep in mind, Oregon's new head coach is Georgia's former defensive coordinator. Mario Cristobal left Oregon, went to the University of Miami. The U, baby, that's where I'm from. But did not leave the cupboards dry, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Also, Bo Nix comes over from Auburn. No bueno against Georgia. 56% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, a ton of interceptions in 3 games against Georgia. I'm playing the under here. The under is at 53. Notre Dame going up against Ohio State. It's not about the spread. It's about the point total. This is an Ohio State offense that arguably at this end of the year will break all kinds of college football records offensively. Top quarterback, unbelievable wide receiving core. So I'm going to play the team total for Ohio State over 38.5 points. This is an Ohio State team more than likely is going to put up 40 points each and every week in this college football season. And last but not least, you've got Florida going up against Utah. The Utes, they returned 17 starters, which is a big deal now because you've got this transfer portal, in my opinion, is killing college football. But nonetheless, I do like the Utes here. I like the Utes being favored. I love the quarterback, Anthony Richardson from University of Florida. He is the reason to watch this matchup, but really that's all Florida has. So I do like the Utes. And again, you could get them at -2.5. So those are my 3 college plays. So you gave us three great races to gamble on today for Saratoga Saturday. I added my 3 favorite plays in college football. Hopefully combined, Jonathan, we could help the folks win some money this afternoon.
I hope so. Fingers crossed.
You got it. You got it. My friend, always a pleasure doing the show with you. I really do look forward to my Saturday mornings, and you're just an absolute treat. So thank you. Thank you for working with me. Thank you, America's Best Racing, ABR, for keeping me on staff each and every season. I love working with you guys. Steven, Dan, everybody, the whole crew, you guys are fantastic. And again, just a reminder, NYRABets.com. Go online. Toga 200 is the code for $200 signing bonus. For you can't use it for the college football picks, but obviously use it for all of Jonathan's picks for today's races. So again, everybody, have fun, and final Saturday at the spa. Enjoy it. We'll see you next season.